Good evening and welcome to episode 67. As always, we'll start with our gratitude attitude. So please gently close your eyes. Take a deep breath. As you exhale, release all the tension from your muscle. Take another deep breath. As you exhale, relax your body. Take one more deep breath. This time, completely let yourself go. Now, think of one thing that you are thankful for that happened in the past week. Once you have identified that, think about why you are thankful. And now let's set it free. If you're by yourself, say it out loud what you are thankful for and why. If you're with someone, tell it to each other. All right. So, have you noticed there are a lot of times when life gives us lemons, we tend to complain about the sourness of those lemons. A very few people are able to make lemonade out of those lemons that life throws at them. So, what does that mean actually? Let's dig in. So, it reminds me of a baseball metaphor. If you are at bat and ready to hit the ball, you are expecting a fast ball and are all ready to knock it out of the park. All of a sudden, the pitcher throws you a curveball. The ball actually slows down as it is coming to you. You are stumped, and suddenly you get a strike. Now, if you're a veteran player and do know what to do in a situation like this, you will adjust on the fly and take a single instead of that home run you were looking for. That is what it means to make lemonade out of lemons life throw at you. So before we can make those lemonades, though, we first need to not lose it. Meaning, We need to stay positive when adversity comes at us 100 miles an hour. The most important thing in this situation is to keep things in perspective. We tend to blow things out of proportion when go wrong. We assume the absolute worst, and often our reaction is more like an overreaction. Instead, if we learn to keep things in perspective as to the extent of negative news that may be coming at us, we'll be able to look at that objectively and find the right solution. We touched on this in a roundabout way in our discussion on equanimity, if you recall in episode 13. I know that sounds like a lifetime ago, right? If you get a chance, go revisit that episode. The next thing to do is to have an open communication. Understand what needs to be done and ask questions. This actually happened to me recently. We sold a building and the tenant sent us the rent after we sold the building by mistake. So the buyer asked me to write him a check for the rent. So I asked him if he can get the tenant to email me that they authorize us to send him a check, and I would be happy to. Otherwise, technically, I needed to return the rent to the tenant. And this guy flipped out. He was all worked up because he did not expect that answer. So I called him and said, listen, all it takes is an email from you to the tenant. And why was he so hesitant about it? So after talking it over with me, he realized that it was a reasonable thing to do. And the whole thing was resolved in less than an hour. So it's important to understand what it is that someone is asking before getting all flipped out about it. Communication is key because oftentimes when we think something is a lemon, it may not be lemon at all. Another thing that helps is always to be grateful. We always start our sessions with a gratitude attitude. A gratitude mindset helps you keep a positive outlook in the face of adversity. Yet another thing that helps is to be mindful. Slow your breathing down. As we all know, our thoughts are racing at a million miles an hour. When you slow your breathing down, they slow down to a manageable level. One thing I learned is that when people perceive something as a threat, they tend to overreact. So when life throws lemons at you, try to take them as a challenge and not as a threat. And that's the very important key. We all know how to accept challenges and rise to them. Threats, on the other hand, evoke fight, flight, or freeze response, and that tends to be destructive. And the last point I would like to make is that accept what you can and cannot do. What does that mean? As we have talked about this before, focus on what you can control. Right? There are so many things and outcomes that are totally out of our control. If we worry about things that we have no control over, it will become very difficult to get out of the negative spiral. And things you can control, no need to worry because you can take action about it. So take that action. Things you cannot control, no need to worry because there is nothing you can do anyway, right? So hope all of this makes sense. Next time you come across a curveball in a shape of adversity, try to put some of these tips into practice. Hopefully, you'll be able to make lemonade out of those lemon after all. So, in today's meditation, as always, we'll begin with a focus on our breath. Once we settle down in our hearts, let's try to imagine our mind is this deep ocean. Our thoughts are waves on that surface. The natural duration of a thought is less than 1/60th of a second. So if we don't pay attention to them, they'll subside on their own. Thoughts seem to be uncontrolled. But as we go deep in the ocean, there is stillness away from that waviness. So let's try and focus on that stillness of our mind. If a thought arises, just acknowledge it without trying to chase it and stay in the stillness of our mind. So that's the plan. Of course, I'm going to guide you through. So please get into a meditation posture, cross legged position if you can. If you are on a chair, just keep your legs straight. Make sure your back is straight, your spine upright, your shoulders leveled. Gently close your eyes. Keep your mouth just a little bit open. That way, any tension you may have in your jaws will dissipate. Put your palms in your lap, right over left, thumbs gently touching each other. Now, take a deep breath. As you exhale, let all the tension in your body melt away. Take another deep breath. Feel the complete relaxation in your body as you exhale. Now, bring your attention to the sensation of your breath. Feel the cool air as you breathe in. Feel slightly warmer air as you breathe out. Keep your attention with the sensation of your breath for about a minute or so on your own. Now, bring your focus at your heart. Imagine everything that happened before this moment melts into light and disappears. Things that are not yet happen are not real anyway. So it is just this moment. Stay in the moment. Enjoy the peaceful nature of this moment. Let this peaceful moment bring the next peaceful moment. Remember, there is nothing to do, nowhere to go. Just enjoy. Now, imagine your mind is this deep ocean. Your thoughts are like the waves on the surface of that ocean. As you go deep in the ocean, there is stillness, just like your mind. If a thought arises, just ignore it. Don't pay attention to it. and it will subside, just like the wave that crashes on the shore. Again, if a thought arises, just ignore it and it will go away. If you find that your thoughts have taken you somewhere else, please come back. Focus on the sensation of your breath for about 10 breaths. Remember, your mind is like a deep ocean. Thoughts are like waves. As you get deeper, there is stillness. So if a thought arises, don't pay attention to it. It will subside. Focus on the stillness of your mind for the last minute or so on your own. When you're ready, gently open your eyes. Any questions? No questions? Okay, I'm going to stop recording.